So we're going to be taking a look at the Chapter 5 review, where we're going to be introducing the concepts of purchase returns and allowances, as well as beginning inventory. So we are going to take a look at all three different methods that we taught in class. Okay, Jennifer. Let's try this again. Okay, so again, we're going to be practicing journalizing for the first scenario, and then we're going to just practice putting everything into the inventory worksheet. So once again, June 5th, we purchased 1,000 units, 1,000 toys at $1 each with a freight of 50. Okay. So here we are, purchase expense for 1,000, freight expense for 50, and accounts payable. For 1,050. Okay. And of course, we're going to be adding our little description here that we purchased 1,000 toys at $1 each. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug that into our inventory worksheet. So here we have June 5th, 1,000 units at $1 with a freight of 50. Okay, so purchase price. What's the purchase price?
It's 1,000.
Okay, plus 50 gives us a total cost of
1,050.
Okay, and since we are using FIFO, okay, what's my cost per item?
Would it be 1,005 cents?
It'd be $1. Yes, $1.05. Okay. So in this case, for this scenario, I'm going to be actually using colors so that you can associate where things go, okay? Just for this one, okay? And then we can drop the colors the next round, okay? So in this case, right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this one, oh, I don't want it yellow. I want it, we can make it red. Okay. All right, so that's batch number 1. So then on June 7, you returned 200 broken toys for a full refund. So first, how do we journalize that? How do we journalize that we returned 200 broken toys for a full refund?
Would it be with the start of purchases of return and allowance?
Okay, so in this case, right? Purchase returns allowance. What kind of an account is that?
That would be a debit, if I remember.
Okay, so purchase expense is yes, it's going to be a debit account. Now, in this case, right, am I increasing purchases or am I decreasing my purchases?
Well, you're increasing because they're bringing them back, but they're broken. So is that still remain a decrease?
We're going to be decreasing. So in this case, right, I need a contra account, right? I need to decrease my purchase expense because I'm not increasing my inventory. I'm going to decrease it because I have it now, but because 200 of them are broken, I need to take them out. So in this case, we would have to have a contra account, which purchase returns and allowances is a contra account. And if it's a contra account, should I debit or credit that account?
Would you credit?
You would credit the account. So in this case, I would have my purchase returns and allowances. Okay. All right. What would be my debit? If I'm getting a full refund,
With a account payable.
yes, because in this case, I never paid, right? I put it on account. I owe them money. So in this case, the only option you do have is you have to reduce the amount that you owe because I'm getting a full credit, right? In this case, because I never paid, they're going to decrease my amount that I owe, right? Now, how much am I going to decrease my purchases?
I want to say 1,050
1,050. How did you get that answer?
because it's a full refund.
Okay. But how did okay. But how did you
But
get
you don't
150?
get your freight. You don't get your freight refunded back though, don't you? That's a cost that you lost.
Correct.
So 1,000
Okay, how did you get that 1,000?
because he's giving you a full refund, but I'm gonna guess. He won't give you like
Now
the
it
freight.
okay, so
Or
in this case, right? Am I returning all 1,000 toys or am I returning only a section of the toys? How many toys am I returning?
all of them. Oh, 200.
So that means I'm keeping 800 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much am I actually going to get a refund for?
200.
200, right? So in this case, we have to look at what the purchase price was. In this case, I purchased it for $1. I can't add freight because, like Maribel said, freight is a loss that I had to take because you can never return freight. Think about it in real life. Can you ever return freight? Can you ship something back and get a refund for it? No, it's gonna cost you money to even ship things out. So in this case, right, we would have to take a loss on that, on the freight itself. But in this case, so we returned 200 broken toys for a full refund. So in this case, we're looking at $1 each. And if we return 200 at $1 each, we're going to get $200 back. Okay? And in this case, I'm going to also make a note here that I returned 200 toys at $1 each for full refund. Okay. So now let's go ahead and plug this into our inventory worksheet. This time, instead of focusing on the top here, I'm going to go ahead and focus on the bottom half, the bottom right half right here where it says returns, allowances, and discounts. So in this case, I returned 200 units. How much did it cost me? Well, in this case, I only have one batch of inventory and one batch only. So in this case, it cost me $1 each. Therefore, how much should my return be? In this case, it's going to be $200. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to also associate that this is the red batch of inventory because this belonged to the very first batch. Now, in context of this, right, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a little subsection here because this is where I'm going to do my math, right? This is where I'm going to do my calculation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this section be called the goods available. Okay? Now, in this case, right, by looking at this batch of inventory, right, if I started out with 1,000 units, right, since this is my net purchases, right, I can't change the value of my net purchases because this is what I purchased, right? It's just like how I made a purchase expense. I can't undo my purchase expense, all right? I have to create a contra account. So in this case, I cannot change anything that I make a purchase for. So if I have 1,000 units, right, but I end up returning 200 of them, I should have a total of 800 units left, okay? And that will be my goods available because in reality, my first batch, I only have 800. And because we're using FIFO, right, I have to be very, very careful on which batches of inventory I have in my inventory, okay? So in this case, I have 800 units left. Now here is where we have to also recalculate our cost per item because in this case, right, we didn't return freight because we can't, right? Instead, what we did was we returned the purchase price. So in this case, right, my total cost was $1,050. However, I got a refund for $200. So therefore, I should have been charged, or my accounts payable now is going to reflect that I owe $850, right? Right, in context, right, I could think of it this way too. If I return 200 units at $200, right, because I know freight was an expense that I've already incurred, I have to take those $50 and instead of spreading it across 1,000 units, I only have 800. So therefore now I have to take that $50, add it to my purchase price, which is 800 times $1 now, to give me 800 plus 50 because I can't return freight. Therefore, now I am down to $850 as a total cost. So then now, because I have a new total cost with a new quantity, I have to resolve for the cost per item because in this case, right, I have a new total, which is $850. And now I have a new cost, so I have to take $50 and spread it across the 800 units that I have available. So in this case, if I take my $850 and divide it by my 800, what is my cost per item?
$1.06. $1.06.
$1.06. Okay, in this case, let's expand that because it's not really $1.06, right? Right here it says it's $1.0625. Okay, so that means we are going to be dealing with unrounded numbers in this scenario, and I'm just going to go ahead and also highlight this red once again because now I know how to follow through, right? This is my first batch of inventory. I made a return on the first batch of inventory. So my goods available says that I should have now 800 units left. Okay. So once again, I'm going to use colors for now, and then I'm going to take them off in the next concept. Okay. All right. So there you go. That was the very first one. Okay. So then on June 10, I end up purchasing 850 toys at $1.25 with a freight of $45. Okay. So again, let's journalize this. Okay, I purchased on June 10. I purchased 850 units at $1.25 with a freight of 45. So how do I journalize this?
Purchase of the 850 toys.
Oh, okay. How do I journalize that? What accounts do I need to use?
Purchase expense.
Good. Purchase expense, freight expense, and we're assuming that we purchase everything on an account, so account payable. So in this case, what is my total purchase expense here? If I purchased 850 toys at $1.25 each,
1062 and 50 cents.
$10.62.50. And my freight was 45, so gives me a grand total amount of
$1,107.50.
good. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make note here again that I purchased 180 toys at $1.25 each. Okay. So now let's gonna plug those into our inventory worksheet. Okay. Right, June 10, 850 at $1.25 with a freight of 45. Okay. I'm gonna make this one yellow so we can see this one. Okay. Oh, I think that is. Okay. So there we go. Right? What's my purchase? What's my purchase price?
Was it 1067.50?
62.50. Okay. Plus $45 gives me 1107.50. So what's my cost per item here?
The whole number? Because it's $1.30 and 29 411 7.
Okay. All right. So then here we recognize that this is a unrounded number. Okay. Whereas this one, right? When we solve for it, it came out pretty even, right? So in this case, we're dealing with unrounded numbers here, so it's $1.30294. Okay, good. Okay. So then, let's take a look what happened next. On June 12th, you end up returning 50 of the toys. They were the wrong color, but we were willing to accept a 20% discount. Okay. So this is the allowance part, right? We're attempting to return something, but instead of getting the full amount back, we get a portion of the money back. So in this case, you're attempting to return 50 toys because they were the wrong color, but you're willing to accept a 20% discount. So how do we figure these numbers out here for this? Or in this case, how do I journalize it?
Accounts payable, purchase, return, and allowance.
Good, accounts payable and purchase returns and allowance, because this is the allowance part, right? And And on top of that, I never paid, so I have to reduce my payment. All right, so in this case, how much would that be?
200.
200. How
Yeah,
did
it's 220.
how did you the total price or
The total price would be 200, right? Was it, how many was that? Oh no, you returned 50, so it'd be $50 because you're taking it from FIFO, so it's the first one's at $1.
Okay, so in this case, no, that's not how it works
No?
here. Because in this case, right? If I were to return inventory, okay, so this is what you should do. Every time I purchase inventory and I receive it, right? Your first initial job and duty is that you need to open up the boxes of inventory and check to make sure, one, that all the items are there, and two, that they're all, in good condition. So in this case, right, when we opened our first purchase of 1,000 toys, right, we found that 200 of them were broken, and we decided to call the vendor and notify them that 200 of them are broken. Now, in this case, right, since the very first batch of inventory was already checked and verified that 200 of them were broken, the assumption here is the next purchase that I bought, which is the 850, I opened up all the boxes and found that this box of the 850, 50 of them were the wrong color. So in this case, the assumption here is that usually the rule is that if you are receiving inventory, any returns and allowances is going to be associated to the batch that you just purchased. Because if you think about it, do you think the vendor's going to let you return 50 units from the very first batch that you purchased?
No.
Yeah, because in this case, it's like you already asked me for $200 a 200 item refund, and you're going to ask me for another 50 because you found out that 50 of them were the wrong color. Then they're probably going to think like, hey, why didn't you do your job in the first place to make sure that you went through every box of your inventory and verified that they were all correct. And on top of that, the time span between the 5th and the 12th, that's a whole week later. So in this case, the assumption here is going to be from the previous batch that we purchased. So in this case, the 850 batch that we purchased. Okay? So in this case, go ahead.
So then the 50 toys would be at the 125, which is 62.50
Correct.
minus the 20% discount makes it $50.
$50. Okay, let's go ahead and calculate that. So let's see. Okay. All right, so Maribel said that it's going to be, we got the 50 toys at the $1.25, and then we're going to take 20% of that, which gives you $12.50. So in this case, right, you're not looking at the, I see where you got that number. So when we purchased it, right, we're talking about the allowance. So in this case, right, we're refunding a small portion of the money. We're refunding 20%. So in this case, right, like you've calculated earlier, you said that if I returned it, right, it'd be 50 times $1.25, which gives you $62.50. Now in this case, I'm getting 20% of it back. Now you said it was $50. That's returning 80%.
Oh, so you're only getting 20%. I thought you were oh, okay. That's horrible. You're only getting 20% of what you spent?
Yes, because they're saying, well, even though it's the wrong color, you still have the ability to sell it. That there's nothing wrong with the inventory. It's not broken or anything. It's just the wrong color. So basically the vendor basically told you saying, well, hey, that's still an opportunity for you to sell. Maybe you can market it as a limited edition toy. It's only available.
You're not returning the toys. You're just getting the discount for those toys.
Correct, because here they're
Okay,
saying,
sorry,
I'm
that's what I'm saying.
sorry, I sent you the wrong toys. How about I give you a generous discount on them to reprimand for my mistake, right? So in this case, we're only getting 20% back. All right, what you calculated was what I'm going to be charged for those items.
Right, okay.
So in this case, right, I have to take 20% of the 62.50. So in this case, 62.50 times 20% is only going to give you $12.50 back. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and make a note here. Refund 50 toys at $1.25 for a 20% discount. Now again, we need to understand the difference between a discount and allowance, right? A discount is where you would receive the discount regardless of what the circumstances was. In this case, I'm attempting to return a product, but they somehow convince you to keep it. And instead of giving you the whole entire money back, they give you a partial of the money back. So that's considered an allowance, okay? Because that's technically not a real discount, right? They would have never gave you the discount unless something happened because you're trying to return it. So that's an allowance, all right? So here I got $12.50. Now let's go ahead and see how we would do that inside the inventory worksheet. So here, right, are we actually returning the product? Did we actually return the product?
No.
No, because they let you keep it, right? They convinced you to keep it. So in this case, my quantity is 0. However, how much did it cost me in this case, right? Because we're following the rules of this must be from the previous batch that the most recent batch that we purchased. So it's going to cost me $1.25. Now this is where I need to type in my formula, okay? So I know that I'm returning 50 toys, right? Or I'm attempting to. And it's going to cost me $1.25. But because I get a 20% discount, that's how I figured it out here when I calculated. But in this case, right, this is my yellow batch of inventory. I need to understand that I may have got money back from the yellow batch, but the one thing is I never returned anything. So this is where I have to recalculate because now I have a new cost, right? In this case, my inventory or purchases never changed, right? It's still $8.50. However, I got a refund for it. So if my original total cost was $11.07, right? And I end up getting a $12.50 refund. Therefore, my total accounts payable will be reduced to $10.95 even. Okay? So because now I'm $10.95, right? That's a new total cost. I have to now take it against my total quantity now of $8.50. So in this case, what is my cost per item here?
1.288235.
Okay. So in this case, that's my new inventory. My yellow batch, I made an adjustment to my yellow batch of inventory. So now in this is my goods available. So this is what I have now. Okay. Everybody good so far?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So then let's go ahead and see what happened next. It is now June 20th. Okay. We end up purchasing an additional 500 toys at $1.50, with the freight costing $25. Okay. So purchase 50 toys at $1.50 with a freight of $25. Okay. So let's journalize that real quick. So it's June 20th. Did you say June 20th? Yes, I did. Okay. So June 20th, I purchased 500 units at $1.50 with a freight of $25. So how do I journalize that?
Purchase expense, freight expense.
Good, right? Okay. And 500 times $1.50 gives you,
$7.25.
okay, plus $25 freight gives you a total accounts payable of
$7.75.
$775. Okay. I'm going to make my note here that I purchased 500 toys at $1.50 each. Okay. So now hopping back into my inventory worksheet, I'm going to plug this in. So on June 20th, I purchased 500 units at $1.50 with a freight of $25. So again, my purchase price is going to be 500 times 150, which we already solved, to be 750 plus 25 gives us a total cost of $775. Now in this case, now what is my total purchase price? Cost per item here. Okay, so in this case, right, we're just assuming that as we go through the day, this is what it is. So what is my cost per item?
$1.55.
$1.55, okay? Okay, $1.55 even, okay? And I'm not gonna make this batch my green batch, okay? Just in case something happens to this inventory, at least I can follow along through so I know what happened to this inventory. Okay, green batch. All right. So then let's see what happened next. Okay. Then April 21st, June 21st, we returned 220 defective toys for a full refund. So let's journalize that. We returned 20 defected toys for a full refund.
With the account payable and purchase returns and allowance.
Good.
And is it gonna be 20 toys at $1.50, right?
Correct.
Alright.
Because in this case, my assumption is that it's from my batch of inventory that I just bought. So 21st of June, okay? So what is the number that you figured out? So 20,
30.
good, $30. Okay. and then returned 20 defective toys at $1.50 for full refund. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and plug that in once again into my inventory worksheet. So now I end up actually returning, I end up actually returning 20 toys, right? And because 20 toys, right, we're assuming it's our third batch of inventory, it's going to cost me $1.50. So in this case, right, I got a refund for $30. So once again, this is my green batch of inventory. So now I need to transfer this in here because now I no longer have 750, or I no longer have 500 items anymore, right? I end up returning 20 of them back, right? And I no longer am charged $775, right? I end up getting a $30 refund. So therefore, I'm left with $745. I have a new quantity and a new total cost. So now that means I am obligated to recalculate my new cost per item. So in this case, what is my new cost per item?
It's almost the same. It's 1.552083.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So as you can see, right, comparing 1,000 units and returning 50 or 200, right? That's a huge amount that I'm refunding. But something like this where I have 500 units and I only return 20 of them, right? It's going to make the change of the cost per item significantly smaller. Okay? There you go. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and see what happened next. So then June 25th rolls around and you end up purchasing an additional 600 toys at $1.75 with a freight of $30. So let's journalize that real quick. So I purchased 600 toys at $1.75 with a freight of $30. How should my journal look like?
With the purchase expense, freight,
Right.
uh, freight expense and account payable.
Correct. Okay. So purchase expense, right, was the 600 at $1.75. So how much is that? Or sorry, 600 is 300.
50, I believe.
Let me see. Let me get that correct. 600 toys at $1.75. Okay, 1050. 1050. And then I got a freight expense of $30. So what's my grand total here?
1080.
1080. Okay. So then I'm going to make my note here that I purchased 600 toys at $1.75 each. Okay. Okay, so plug that into my inventory worksheet. 625, 600 at 175 with a freight of 30. So once again, that makes it 1050 plus 30, 1080. So then what's going to be my cost per item here?
$1.80.
$1.80. So now I'm going to go ahead and make this blue. Okay, so we can see it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what happened next. In this case, I have no returns or any allowances, but I do have this information that on June 30th, I end up having 1250 toys on hand. Okay, so let's go into my inventory worksheet. I'm given that at the end of the month, I was left remaining with 1250. So in this case, that means my blue batch of inventory, I didn't make any returns or allowances for it. Instead, I actually end up keeping all 600 units. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer all the information here, right? 600 units at $1.80. That cost me, a total of $10.80. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure I know that this is my blue batch. Okay, so now because I'm given given this little note here that on June 30th I end up having 1250. So therefore, we need to go ahead and prepare and tally up our total. So in this case, right, what was my grand total of purchases? How many items did I purchase in grand total?
$29.50.
$29.50, okay? What was my total purchase price?
$9,862.50.
No, okay, I did, what was that?
Isn't it $3,912.50?
I think that's because you might have added the freight
Yeah,
of
I
150.
for $50.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so there you go. So these are the numbers now, okay? And then I'm gonna make sure I do this so then we kind of know that this is all of our calculations. So let me see, maybe this light purple color. Okay, that's a calculation. Okay, so there you go. We bought a total of 2,950 units at $3,862.50. Right, our freight was $150, and our total cost ended up being $4,012.50. Okay. So that's just tallying that up. Now, what I want you to do is also to tally up your goods available, okay, as well as your returns and allowances, okay? So in this case, right, what is my total goods available?
2,730.
2,730 at a grand total cost of? Hold on. I think I should put a space between it so it doesn't look like we bought more inventory.
$3,770.
Okay. So we have a total sum Okay. And you said 3,000.
$770.
Good. Okay. What about my total refunds and allowances? How many items did I end up returning?
225.
220.
Okay, good. At a total cost of,
$242.50.
okay, good. Okay. So there you go. We totaled up those totals. Now let's go ahead and plug our numbers in and match them along the way. So first things first is let's solve for our net purchases. So in this case, we purchased a total of 2,950 units at a grand total of 3,862.50, right? This is where I have returns and allowances, right? This section right here is where we're going to plug it in here. So in this case, right, I end up returning total of 220 units at a grand total of $242.50. So therefore, my subtotal, right, if you look here at the indication, right, a returns decreases your purchase. So in this case, I now have a grand total of 2,730 units left, which ding, ding, ding is right here, right? And let's see, if we take our 3,862.50 and subtract our 242.50, we now have $3,620, okay? Once again, this is just the purchase price, okay? We need to include that freight, increases our total cost. So this is where we now have a total net purchases of 2,750 units at a grand total of $3,770, which is right here, okay? Now, remember, I named this as goods available, but because we don't have beginning inventory, right? Therefore, whatever our net purchases was is going to be my total goods available. Okay, so in this case, there you go. My goods available matches 100% because in this case, I kept a track record, right? I purchased my first inventory. I end up making a refund. So therefore, I should have this much left. Okay, so there you go. My goods available matches. Now I need to solve for my cost of goods sold. Okay. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna label this one right here as my cost of goods sold. Okay. So in this case, right, if I have $12.50 supposed to be in my ending balance, right? How much did I actually sell?
$1,480.
Okay, 1,480. Okay. So then now I need to actually calculate how many items I actually sold. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it down below here that this is going to be my running balance. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and equal sum this so then I can get a running balance. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and follow the rules of FIFO. In this case, I don't need to look at my net purchases or my returns and allowances. I only need to focus right here under my goods available. So, all right, starting with the method of FIFO, right? Which batch of inventory am I going to sell first?
Red.
the red one, right? Because that's the batch that I purchased first. In this case, I'm just going to copy the information down because in this case, I sold a total of 1480. This red batch only has 800 units in it. All right, and I'm going to carry this over to so you know that this is LIFO. Okay, so this was the red batch. Okay, so there you go. I eliminated my red batch. Which batch is next?
Yellow.
Which one?
Yellow.
Yellow, okay? In this case, that's 850 units. 850 put me at 1650. That is way over than the amount that I actually sold. So in this case, how much did I actually sell from my yellow batch?
170.
170? 170?
Oops.
Okay, so in this case, right now I'm at 800, right? I need to get to 1460. So how many more do I need to sell to get to
680.
680, right? You can either figure that
I
out.
I
No.
took off of it.
Yeah, no worries. So another way you could do that too, if you use Excel, you could just figure the numbers out, right? I need to get to 1480 minus 800, 680. Okay. So in this case, now that I'm looking at this, right, that means I can only take a portion of my yellow batch. In this case, it's going to cost me sorry, I can't read. $1.2884. Okay, and this is where your equal round formula is going to come into play because I do not want a nasty number. I want a nice, simple, rounded number. So in this case, I'm going to take 680 multiply by my $1.28824, right, comma, to end your argument with that was your formula, and I want to take it to 2 decimal places, okay? So what is my total cost of selling 680 units at $1.28824?
876.
$876. Now, of course, if you left it this unrounded, it would give you like 0.999 something. It'd be like 7875998 something. So in this case, I already did the math in the Excel to round it off for me automatically. So in this case, I know that this belongs to my yellow batch. Okay. So now I have a total of 1480, costing me a grand total of $1,726. So therefore, what is my grand total amount in my ending balance?
$2,044.
$2,044. Okay. So there is my first inventory worksheet, right? This is how I figured it out when I do have the subsection where I have purchase returns and allowances, okay? So let's go ahead and take these numbers here and do our conversion entry because we finished the inventory worksheet. So therefore, on June 30th, how should I record my conversion entry?
With the ending inventory.
Okay, ending inventory. So in this case, what did I buy?
Toys.
Toys. So toys would be my inventory. Okay. What else do I need to recognize?
Is this where we put cost of goods sold or no?
Yes, it's still the cost of goods sold good. Because in this case, right, the purchases that I made, I never retained all of them. I end up selling them along the way. Okay? And what else?
Purchase expense and account payable. Purchase expense and freight expense.
Good. Purchase expense and freight expense. Okay. Okay. So let's just plug these numbers in and then we'll see why I left this space here. Okay. So here you go. What was my ending inventory?
$12.50.
Okay. Value, total cost.
The 2044.
2044. Okay. What was the total cost of my cost of goods sold?
$37.70.
3770. No, that's your total goods available. What was my
1726.
yeah. Okay, so this is my cost of goods sold right here, right? This is what I solved for. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was my original purchase price?
That's the 37.70.
That's goods available.
Oh, I'm so lost.
What was my total purchase price? What did I originally purchase everything at?
3862.50.
3862.50, right? And then what was my total freight?
150.
Okay, 150. Okay. So Maribel, in this case, right, I'm using my inventory worksheet to help me solve for my conversion entry, right? What was my total purchase expense? So in this case, what was my amount of purchases that I made? So in this case, my table tells me that I purchased a total of 2,950 units at a total cost of 3,862.50, right? And my freight is a separate cost, as we know it, which was 150, right? Now, in this case, when we were solving for our cost of goods sold, right, our assumption is that we sold at 1480, right? Now, how much did it cost me? Well, in this case, because we used FIFO, right? We end up selling the first batch of red first, then our second batch of yellow to get us a grand total of the 1726. Now, in this case, right, that was my cost of goods sold, right? And this one right here is my ending balance in my inventory. So in this case, if you remember the chart that we had earlier, right? The questions I was asking was, what was my ending inventory? It was the 2044. What was my cost of goods sold? The 1726, because that's what we solved for in the table. Okay. So then let's go ahead and take a look at this and actually map out what am I missing here. Okay. So equals
The
sum.
return stuff, right?
The return stuff. Good, right? I have 3,770 on the left, and I have 4,1250 on the right. Okay? What am I missing?
Return and allowance.
The return and allowance for $242.50, right? So again, that is exactly what it gets plugged in here is the purchase, returns, and allowance. Okay, so in this case, right, if you notice this, okay, what we're essentially doing is because when we're converting our expenses into inventory, what we're essentially doing is we're going to be zeroing out the account. So if I put $100 worth of purchase expense in the account and I'm zeroing it out, therefore I need to take out $100. Okay, and in this case, because we end up making returns and allowances, since that's a contra account to my purchase expense, I also need to zero that account out. Now, originally, right, I have it as a credit. In order to zero something out, you would put it in the opposite direction. So therefore, I am debiting my account now because I'm zeroing it out. All right, so that's what's missing here is that now I have a purchase returns and allowance right here, and it's going to be included into my conversion entry. All right, and then last but not least, I need to make a note that to convert into the toys into inventory. Okay. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So then let's
Me,
see.
teacher.
Yes.
Good morning. In the table of the quantities that you have in
Okay.
COGS, COGS, 680. Please show me the table. Yes, this cost of goods sold,
Okay.
680.
All right. How many items did I sell in grand total?
The grand total, 2,730 here.
That's how many we have goods available. This is
What
what
do you mean?
this is what we have in my inventory. Right? I have a grand total of 2,730 units. This is what I have available to sell. Okay? Now, because we end up having the information that on June 30th, I have a total of 1,250 left in inventory. Okay? That's right here. So therefore, my assumption is I must have sold, right? If I had 2,730 to begin with and I have left over 1,250, my assumption is that I must have sold 1,480. Okay? Now in this case, right, I'm going to use the rules of FIFO. Which batch am I going to get rid of first? In this case, I got rid of my first 800. Okay?
Yes.
So then that leaves me with just 800. Now the question here is, how much more do I need to get to 1,480 if I've only sold 800? How much more do I need to get?
You mean the difference between total of 850, 480, and 600 minus 1,250?
No. Okay, right now I sold 800 units, right?
Yes.
How many items did I sell in grand total?
Grand
How many units did I sell in grand total?
270.
No. How many, okay, my cost of goods sold, my quantity right here, right? If I started out with 2,730 units, right? And I was given that someone went down to the basement and told me, well, hey, you still have 1,250 units left. So my assumption is I must have sold a grand total of 1,480 units, right?
Yes.
I got rid of 1,480 units. Now, in this case, when I'm calculating my cost of goods sold, if I've already sold 800, how
Yes.
many more do I need to sell to get to 1480?
850 plus part of 480.
Why do I need that?
First in, first out.
First in, first out, but I already got rid of my red batch of inventory. I sold my first 800 units.
Yes, first all the quantity
Yes,
from the red patch,
yes.
and also all the yellow patch.
Okay, if I sell out the whole entire the yellow batch of 850, right?
Yes.
I sold 1650. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, Maggie, look at this again. I only sold 1480. 1650 is too much.
I need for this 1,480 from the 800, 850, and part from the 480.
No, Maggie, in grand total, you only sold 1480. All right,
Yes.
okay. All right, let's do this again, okay? Let's do it again. Say it again. So, let's start over, right? Right now,
Yes.
I have sold 0. I have sold nothing.
Yes.
I need to get to a grand total of 1480 units. I have to sell 1480 toys because that's how much I've calculated.
Yes.
So let's take a look again. If I'm following the rules of FIFO, which batch of inventory am I going to take out first?
Red.
The red one. How much was
Yes.
the red one for?
800.
800. Okay? So I sold 800 units. How
Yes.
much more do I need to sell to get me to 1480?
Oh, for 1480 minus 800.
1480. Good. So 1480 minus 800. How much does that give you?
This 680.
680. Now let's take a look at my batch of my yellow batch of inventory.
Thank you very much.
How
Yes.
much do I have in my yellow batch? I have 850. So in this case, I can't take all of it. I can only take some of it. Okay, so I think I made this. It looks orange to me. Let me change it. I think it is orange. It needs to be yellow. Oh, wait. Haha, my bad. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay. Okay. All right. So good job, everybody. So now that we have this, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we move on to the next scenario. Okay. Where it says here that for number 3, we're going to continue the inventory from question number 1. So your inventory method is still periodic and it's still FIFO. Okay. So in this case, right, on June 30th, you were given that you have a grand total of 1250 units on hand. So, of course, when we verify it, right, from our inventory worksheet, we have a little bit from our yellow batch, we have our green batch, and we have our blue batch. We're going to carry all 3 batches onto our new inventory worksheet for question number 3. So in this case, right, I know for a fact that my yellow batch, right, I started out with 850, but I end up selling for 680. Okay, so therefore I should have a total of 170 items left in my yellow batch. Okay? And of course, with that being said too, we also have to figure out what was my total amount left. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go back into my worksheet here to figure out what my numbers were. So if I originally started out with 850, right, in my yellow batch, which was a total of 1095, I end up selling $876 worth. So therefore, I am left with $219 left. Okay? All right, and this is my yellow batch of inventory. Okay? But we also have to carry our information over from my green batch of inventory as well as my blue batch of inventory because those ones were not touched. Okay? All right, and I'm going to plug in the same numbers here because in this case, right, we're dealing with unrounded numbers. So I need to make sure that I have the calculations for my cost per item to be correct. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to enter in my balances, right, into my inventory on hand. Okay. And of course, I'm going to make the same association so I know what I did and how I carried it over into my new batch of inventory, right? So I have a yellow batch left, a green batch, and a blue batch of inventory. Okay? And I'm also going to tally up my grand totals so then I know for a fact that that my numbers are correct, that I'm carrying the correct amount of inventory on hand correctly over. So in this case, I should have a total of 1250 units, which was correct, at a grand total cost of $2,044. So in this case, that is correct, right? That is the correct amount of inventory that I had as my beginning inventory. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so that's my inventory on hand. I'm keeping the batches the way they are because in this case, we're still using the rules of FIFO. They don't get combined, okay, because in this case, it's just exactly like if you bought cartons of milk, right? And you end up transferring it over to the next month, they're all not going to be the same date. They all have different expiration dates, right? They're all not going to be the same. So we're going to have to transfer the batches of inventory over exactly the same as what you purchased it from the previous one. Okay? And there you go. All right? So let's go ahead. And so again, I'm not going to have you guys journalize the purchases or doing the returns because it's going to be rinse and repeat. So from here on out, we're just going to plug our numbers into the inventory worksheet and solve from there. Okay? So then on July 5th, we end up purchasing 500 toys at $1.65 with the freight costing you $25. Okay? So 500 units at $165 with the freight of $25. Okay? So now it's July 5th. We purchased 500 units at $1.65 with a freight of $25. Okay. So what is going to be my total purchase price?
$825.
Good. Plus $25.
850.
850. And then again, what is my cost per item?
Oh, $1.70.
Okay, good. $1.70. Now in this case, I'm gonna continue with my batches of color so then you're able to make association and we'll drop it in the next round, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna make this one orange, okay? So then what happened on July 10?
Uh, purchased 800 at $1.80 with a freight cost of 40.
Okay, so in this case, July 10 rolls around. We purchased 800 at $1.80. With a freight of $40. So what's my purchase price here?
1,044, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Plus 40.
1,048.
Okay, which brings me a cost per item to be
$0.45. 185.
okay. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this batch red. Okay, so now that we are building our net purchases, right? Let's go ahead and build our table because now we ensure that our orange batch of inventory is something that we're keeping, right? So I'm going to go ahead and build my goods available. Okay. Goods available. Maggie, can you mute your microphone? All right. So in this case, right, I have beginning inventory, right? I have all of these in the very beginning of my inventory. So therefore, these 3 batches of inventory is going to be part of my goods available. So I'm going to list it exactly like how I have it here, right? Because that is part of my inventory, okay? And because we just purchased our new batch of inventory, right? Therefore, we have a new we're combining our net purchases with our goods available, right? So, or I mean, we're adding our beginning inventory with our net purchases. So in this case, right, since I know these numbers are solid, right? This is my beginning inventory. Nothing's going to change. I can't return what I bought in the past, right? So I'm going to carry these numbers over here. Right? I'm going to carry these numbers over into my goods available. Okay? Okay? Is it 1080? Oh, yeah. Oops. I guess I didn't format that either. There you go. 1080. Okay? So here I carried my batches because this is going to be considered my goods available, right? I have my yellow batch of inventory as something that I am going to begin when I calculate my FIFO, right? I'm going to start from the top of my yellow batch, right? Then I'm going to make it down to my green batch of inventory. Then I'm going to make it down to my blue batch of inventory. And then lastly, I just entered in my orange batch because that's confirmed that I haven't made any changes to it and I accepted the amount that was given to me, right? That I purchased it for, right? I purchased this 500 units and made no changes because I end up making a second batch of inventory that I purchased, right? Purchased, not carried over from the beginning inventory, right? This is something that I purchased, which is the 800 units on July 10th. Now, in this case, I'm not going to add my July 10 in here because what if I end up returning something? So let's take a look at my scenario. Did I end up returning something? July 11th. I end up returning 100 defective toys for a full refund. So in this case, yes, I end up making a return from my red batch of inventory. And this time I returned 100 of the toys. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug that into my my returns and allowances. So I returned 100 toys. Now, how much did it cost me per item to return?
$180.
$1.80. So in this case, right, what was my grand total refund for?
$180.
$180. And this one is going to be associated with the red batch of inventory that I just bought. Okay? Red batch of inventory that I just bought. Okay? So therefore, right, I no longer have 800 units because I end up returning 100 of them. So how many items should I actually have now?
400? Or, wait.
I started with 800 and I returned 100.
Oh, 700.
You
I
should
was
have,
looking at orange.
no worries. Okay, so you should have 700 units left from the red batch. Okay. Now, of course, because my total cost, I end up getting a refund, right? So if I started out with 1480, right, and I end up getting a refund for 180, what's my new total cost?
$1260.
So, okay, let's do it again. So you had 1480, okay, and you are returning 180.
$1,260.
Now let's do it again. You started out with 1480, right? That's your total cost, right? Minus, because you got a refund for $180.
1,300.
1,300. How did you guys get 1680? Did you guys, I think you got it from up here, right? Where you started with 1440 minus the 180. You forgot to include the freight of 40.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So here, right, it's just simpler to just understand it. Just take the total cost and then subtract out your returns to get a grand total of 1,300. Okay, that way you don't have to do extra math. Okay. And there you go. That's my red batch of inventory. Okay. So now I have 5 batches of inventory. Okay. So let's see what happens next. So then on June 25th, already? Actually, no, sorry, I skipped ahead. On June 20th, right, we purchased additional 300 toys at $1.85 each with a freight of 15. Okay. So once again, it is July 20th. We purchased 300 units at $1.85 each with a freight of 15. Right, let me see. June 20th, purchased 300 at $1.85 with a freight of 15. Okay, so what's my purchase price here?
$555.
555 plus 15.
570.
Good. What's my cost per item?
Um, 190, I think.
190. Good. All right. And once again, I'm going to pick a color. Okay, let's see what I have left. I guess I can do... Okay, let's do purple since I'm running out of colors here. Okay, so purple. Okay, it's a little dark, but it's for 300 at 570. Okay. So then on July 21st, we end up returning 50 of those toys. They end up being the wrong color, and I'm willing to accept a 20% discount. So in this case, right, here comes another allowance, right, where we're attempting to return a few amounts, right, but somehow the vendor convinced us to keep the toys because we can sell them, obviously, and of course, by reprimanding their mistake, they decided to offer us a 20% discount, and we accept it. Okay, so how are we going to figure out this 20% discount amount? Okay, did we actually return anything?
No.
Okay, how much is it going to cost me per item to refund? Okay, since I'm dealing with the purple batch, my purple batch cost me $1.85 each, right? So how do I accept this 20% discount off of the 50 items I'm attempting to return? So 50, right? I'm attempting to return 50 of them, right? That cost me $1.85. However, I'm not getting a full refund. I'm only getting 20% back. So how,
It,
go,
oh,
go ahead.
it would be 18.50.
$18.50 is what I'm going to get back. I'm only getting 20% of the money back. I'm not getting a full refund. That's what makes it an allowance. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to make an association that this one was from the purple batch. Okay? So therefore, right, I need to enter this in here because this time, even though my quantity did not change, right, because 300 minus 0 gives you 300. However, my total cost changed, right? The original bill was for $570. However, because of that wrong shipment of items, right, for the wrong color, they gave me $18.50 back because they made a mistake. So in this case, I calculated a grand total of $501.50. Okay. Right, is that correct? 570 minus 1850 gave me $551.50. Okay. So therefore, I need to resolve for my cost per item. So in this case, what is my cost per item?
Five?
Uh,
No,
my
sorry, never mind. No. That's total. Sorry.
okay. Okay. So I forgot to solve for this one as well. Okay. All right. So that's my total cost per item. Okay. And of course, I need to make an association that this is the purple batch. Okay. So then last but not least, on July 25th, we end up purchasing 100 toys at $1.75 with a freight of $5. Okay. 100 toys at $1.75 with a freight of $5. So it is July 25th, 100 at $1.75 with a freight of $5. So therefore, what is my total purchase price here?
175.
175 plus freight,
180.
180, bringing my cost per item to be
1.8.
$1.80. Okay. And of course, I'm running out of colors, but I'm going to go ahead and make this nice pink salmon color. Okay. And because this is my last scenario, right? Therefore, on July 31st, I have a total of 600 units left on hand. So that is an indicator that I am completely done with this transaction. So my ending balance is going to be 600, right? And I have a last batch of inventory for the 100 items, right? Which cost me $1.80 each. Okay. And once again, I have this as this salmon. Oops. I have this as my salmon color. Okay. So now I need to solve for my table here. Okay, so I'm going to insert a few lines in here as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and solve for our inventory, right? So in this case, let's total up our totals. So what was the total amount of inventory that I purchased?
1,700.
1,700, okay? What was my total purchase price?
$2,995.
Good. What was my total freight?
85?
$85. And what was my total cost?
$3,080.
3,080. Okay. Okay. 3,080. Okay. I'm also going to sum up my grand totals here. Okay. So I'm going to sum up my grand total goods available as well as my returns and allowances. So equals sum. So how much is my total goods available? How much should I have available?
$2,850.
2,850 at a total cost of right? $4,925.50. What was my total returns? How many items did I return?
100.
100, okay? At that's not right. Okay, at a total value of what?
195.50. Or no, 198.50.
Okay, 198.50. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and plug in our numbers in here. So if you guys can spare me another 20 minutes, I think I'm going to call it after this, okay? So here, right, we have a total quantity of purchasing 1,700 units at $2,995, right? We had a return of 100 units costing a total of $198.50. So therefore, I should have a grand total of 1,600 units at a grand total of $2,796, right? Because we end up returning, so that's going to take away from our inventory, right? Freight does not affect my quantity, but it affects my cost. So it's going to increase it by $85. So in this case, I have 1,600 units at $2,881.50. cents. Okay. Anyways, so then, right, we need to go ahead and introduce the beginning inventory, right? What was my beginning inventory? It was the 1250 units that I transferred over from my previous worksheet, right? And that cost me a grand total of $2,044, okay? I'm going to carry down my net purchases of the 1,600 units costing at $2,881.50, and my grand total, right? I'm going to add these two numbers up to get me a grand total of 2,850 units at a grand total cost of my $4,926, which is right here in 2550, which is my total goods available that I solved here in this table right here. Okay. So then, of course, if I'm given that I have 600 units left in my inventory, I have to assume that I must have sold a grand total of 2250. Right? So then let's go ahead and solve for my cost of goods sold. Okay? So cost of goods sold. Okay? So let me see. So let's say I have a total of 2, 4, 6, 7 batches of inventory. So I'm going to go ahead and put my equal sum formula here to have a running balance so I know how many items I have sold, right? Okay. And I'm going to make this my calculation, okay? So, starting with the rules of FIFO, right? Which batch of inventory am I going to sell out first?
First.
Did you say yellow one first?
Yeah, the first one that's on top.
Good, right? So that's my first 700 or first 170 items, right? Which we know cost $219, right? Which batch of inventory is going to be sold out next?
Green.
Green, right? Green's going to be next for the 480 units, which, since I'm going to take the whole batch right there, right, that's going to cost me a total of $745. Okay. Which batch of inventory am I going to sell out next?
The blue.
The blue one, right? In this case, I'm going to take all 600, right? So now I'm at 1250 units, right? Which we know because that's our beginning inventory, right? So in this case, how many more do I need to keep going? I need to keep going for a long time, right? We still have to sell almost twice as much. So in this case, right, I have to keep going. So then which batch of inventory am I going to sell out next?
The orange.
Orange, 500, okay? Which gives me 1750. So in this case, I have to keep going. Okay? And this is my orange batch. Okay? Now, how many more do I need to sell? If I'm at 1750, how many more do I need to sell?
500.
You need to sell 500, right? So let's see, 500. They're at 2250. So in this case, right, with my next batch of inventory is red. How much do I have in my red batch?
700.
I have 700. So in that case, that's too much. That's way too many units. I can't take the whole batch out. So therefore, I need to calculate how much it's going to cost me per item because I can't take the entire red batch. I have to calculate it because I'm only taking a small portion of it. So in this case, right, what is my calculation going to be? If it's 500 at $1.85714, how much is it going to cost me in grand total?
$928.50.
57. Okay, good. And this one came from my red batch of inventory, okay? So then, right? So then now I have a grand total of $3,822.57 that I have sold, okay? That's how much I sold. So therefore, what should be my ending balance in my inventory?
$1,000 1042.93.
1042.93. How did you get that?
Oh, I probably put the numbers wrong. It's really small for me.
Okay. So I have $4,925.50 that I began with. And I'm going to subtract out my 3,822.57. Right?
Still, I don't know what I'm putting wrong. It still gives me 1042.93.
Are you switching numbers by accident? 1042.50. Okay. Well, in this case, I should have a goods available of 4,926.50. Okay. It's possible that you could had a typo here. So in this case, when I calculated it, it should give me 1102.93. Okay.
Okay, now I got 1,102.93. I don't know what number I was putting wrong.
All right. Okay. All right. So there we have it. Now we finish our inventory worksheet, right? Yes, I know it's a little color forward, but in this case, I just want to make sure that you keep track of your inventory like in some kind of manner or way, right? If you're doing this on your own, you have your choice. Whether you want to use colors so it's easier for you to know where everything is going at. If not, that's completely okay. I don't care, right? These worksheets are for you to be able to understand the material. So however way that you understand it, whether you use colors, use maybe different font colors for instead of using it like this and highlighting everything, it's up to you. As long as you're able to follow along and be able to get the same answer as me, I don't care how you do it, okay? So in this case, this is how I finished filling out my worksheet with the returns and allowances and beginning inventory. So therefore, let's go ahead and practice my conversion entry. What is going to be my conversion entry? Okay. What should I be journalizing? Okay. It's
Uh,
July 31st. Oops. Go ahead.
You start with toys with ending inventory.
Good, that's correct. Toys with ending inventory. Okay, you want to do the value now? What was the total cost or total value of your ending inventory?
1,102.93.
Good. Okay. What am I going to recognize next?
Cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold, right? It's an expense account. So in this case, what was my total value of my cost of goods sold?
3,822.57.
Good. What am I going to recognize next?
Purchases, returns, and allowance.
Good. Purchase returns and allowances. Okay. Which got me a grand total of, what's my total cost of my purchase returns and allowances?
198.50.
198.50. Okay. What's next?
And purchases expense.
Purchase expense. Okay. At what total value was my total purchase expense, my original purchase expense?
2,995.
Good. Okay. What's next?
Freight expense.
Freight expense, right? We need to recognize our freight, which was a total of
What is it? 85.
$85. Okay. Anything else I need to recognize?
Beginning.
You need to recognize the beginning inventory. So in this case, right, we talked about this, right? There's no such thing as an account called beginning inventory or ending inventory. In this case, because I was specific on the actual item I purchased, right? I purchased toys. So therefore, my ending inventory or my inventory itself is called toys. Now, if I had beginning inventory, it would also be called toys because they are the same account. One of them is your increase in the inventory count. The other one is your decrease in the inventory count. That's all that it means. Okay? So I'm increasing my ending inventory, but I'm decreasing my beginning inventory. So think of it that way. So in this case, right, what was my beginning inventory?
Uh, 2,044.
I think I didn't press enter or equal. Equal 2044. Okay. And of course, first rule of thumb before completing your journal is to confirm that you have your debits match your credit. So in this case, I have $5,124 on the left and I have $5,124 on the right. So in this case, ding, 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 I did this correctly, right? And last comment I'm going to say here is to convert toys into inventory. Okay, and done. All right. Any questions in regards to this exercise right here, where we're looking at what happens when we have a purchase returns and allowance, and what happens when we also introduce beginning inventory, right? Okay, so we have beginning inventory, net purchases, returns and allowances, your total goods available, and properly calculating the cost of goods sold. Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay.